We have another superstar in the NBA. There's really no other way to put it. Trae Young has emerged more than any other player in this postseason as a legit superstar, and it is the second time in my career that I've been this kind of dead wrong about a player. And it should not surprise you. It is the player to whom he is always going to be compared, who was the other one. When Steph Curry was coming out of Davidson, my immediate impression of him was this is a tremendous college player who will be a great shooter in the NBA and nothing more. And obviously, I couldn't have been more wrong. And I thought Trae Young would be something similar to that, and obviously, I couldn't be more wrong. After 48 points last night and the flair and the moxie and the swag and this postseason that he's had, beginning with the way he went back and forth with the crowd at the Garden, that he's just staring down the fans at Madison Square Garden. And, oh, by the way, an elite defensive coach in Tom Thibodeau who had no answers for him at all and winning 2 road games out of 3 in that series. And then you take on Philly and the great defense that that team plays with the rim protection they have, and Simmons who can play defense even if he can't shoot, and all the rest of that. And they win 3 road games out of 4 in that series, and now they go up against Milwaukee, the team that everyone thought, well, they got through Brooklyn. This is finally Giannis's year. And what does he do? He walks into that building and puts up 48 points last night and steals home court again. They win for the 3rd consecutive series. They take game 1 on the road. And so let me make this Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, because I don't know that I need to tell you how great Trae Young was last night or how great he is. If you watched any of that game last night or have watched any of the coverage of it, you are well aware of how spectacular he was. But I have a question, because we're witnessing one of 2 things in these NBA playoffs, and I'm not sure which. As we watch these dynamic young stars, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, we are seeing one of 2 things. Is it A, a changing of the guard at the top of the NBA food chain, or is it B, the young guys elevating because of the nature of the last season and a half, and thus the older guys are tired and in many cases breaking down? Because with the exception of Kevin Durant, the best players in this postseason have all been 24 or younger. In fact, and I never do this, but I'm going to give you a very, very quick green list right off the top.
The list is what determines who matters in this business.
The green list.
If I were to name the 5 best players in these playoffs so far, just the 5 best players in the 2021 NBA playoffs, they would be
number 5,
Luka Doncic. And as spectacular as he was, I have to put him 5 because he got knocked out in the first round and everybody else involved didn't. Now, that isn't his fault, although there was some criticism of him coming out of that series, some criticism of his willingness or ability to share and play nicely with teammates. So Luka Doncic, as brilliant as he was, is number 5.
Number 4.
Donovan Mitchell is 4. Donovan Mitchell, who was just, ridiculously spectacular at the age of 24 for Utah, causing Stephen A. Smith to say that he's already the greatest player in Jazz history ahead of Karl Malone and John Stockton. Mitchell playing through injuries of numerous varieties, carrying that team, Utah, as he did, but they get knocked out, of course.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Devin Booker. And up until last night, I would have put him at number 2. But he got bounced from that spot by Trae Young. But Booker has been ridiculous. And as great as Chris Paul is, Devin Booker has been the best player on that team. People are talking about him as having the Mamba mentality. Is he the next Kobe? All the rest of that. Devin Booker, who is 24 years old, has been spectacular.
Number 2.
2 is Trae Young, who is 22. And I put him there because I think he's doing it with less. I think he's doing it with less than Devin Booker is doing it. Now, that is a team that has been very well put together around him. I don't mean to diminish how good some of those other guys are. But I feel like Devin Booker can have a bad night and his team still has a chance. I don't think Trae Young has that luxury. And so I put Trae Young at number 2.
Number 1.
And 1 is KD. The best player in these playoffs has been Kevin Durant. And I don't think that's going to change no matter what. What Kevin Durant did in games 5 and 7 of that series, albeit ultimately in a losing effort against Milwaukee, is the stuff of legend. That might have been the greatest performances I've ever seen. Certainly right up there. So he's number 1 on today's green list. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.